And we are back. Welcome to the new segment of Better on Draft, part of episode 241, recorded live on October 30th. It is about 8 o'clock here, 5 o'clock Dan Standard Time. We appreciate you all joining us, and as always with segment 2.
Whether your beer is in
Oh,
a
that's the wrong one. Let's try that again. Oh no, the sound isn't there. Oh my God, I am a failure today.
Oh,
I
Kenneth.
I know, I know, I know.
You gotta
Well,
go through Windows Explorer.
Now you gotta sing it.
here
No.
is
Oh,
no.
no.
All right, so we're just gonna you know what? I can do this in post.
Play
So
it.
we'll do it again. Welcome back, episode 241, Better on Draft Podcast. This is the news segment. We appreciate you joining us. Obviously, this is going to be separate, just like we started with episode 240. So this is going to be shown on Monday or Tuesday. So the first or second or third of November, but we're recording it live during episode 241 Fridays. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern, betterondraft.tv. But as always, with segment 2.
Here is Robert with the Beer News.
All right, going into the news here. First, actually, before we get into that, actually, I'm going to go around real quick just to make sure, see what everybody is drinking. I'm going to start with Nick and see what he's got.
Well, I'm down to one glass, and it's the UFO pineapple. I didn't have enough time to run to the kitchen and grab another one, but hey, beer's
All
beer.
right.
Beer's good.
Dan, what you got?
I went back to the good old Bloody Mary.
Nice.
Ooh,
Wendy?
going right to the vodka. Wow.
Wendy, you still drinking?
And I've been drinking all day. My birthday is on Sunday. So we did a brewery tour today and we stopped at City Boat as our last brewery because, well, I love them. And I have their milkshake stout, milk stout number 8, which is fantastic. I had the 5 at the brewery and it tastes like Samoa's. And this one has Oreos in it. And then there was a 13 that had peanuts and it was a Thai inspired thing. It was fantastic. So that entire series, I cannot tell you, just get it if you can.
Gotcha. And we still have Bar Baker Siren of Stout with us. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Leaves, Leggins, and Lattes, a pumpkin pie latte ale by Hysteria Brewing.
Digging it.
Look at Ken, Dan shaking his head down.
Dan shaking his head, and I can't stop laughing at that.
Hey.
Dan's like, God darn it.
So,
Yep.
what I have right now is that I am drinking a Sour Patch Kid sour ale from Eastern Market Brewing, which for anybody who likes
that's
Sour Patch
delicious.
Kids, this thing is very much dead on. So with that, we're actually going to talk first about beer pairings. And we've seen beer pairings with 3, 5, and 7 course meals. But with it being obviously Halloween, that there's been some more talk that's been happening this week about, as Ken is showing the Rochester.
Yeah, because you didn't ask me what I was drinking. Thanks.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Sorry about that. Sorry, you run this thing. You just we'll figure it about you. Sorry. But obviously, with it being Halloween, that there's been some talk about this week or so about people pairing beer with candy.
Mhm.
And obviously, for those who don't really pay attention or I guess as really know about what the beer pairing is about, is essentially it is about pairing your food and your drink so that certain elements and like texture and flavors both can interact with each other and thus make the experience a bit more enjoyable. One of the things I ran into was an article that came by way of Carly Smith. She's one of the head brewers, or is the head brewer at D9 Brewing Company in Charlotte, North Carolina, who did this type of pairing. And I guess just kind of staying in general terms, here's the styles and the candies that she paired. So a brown ale with a Snickers, a porter with Reese's Cups, a lager with Starburst, and a pumpkin ale with a Butterfinger. There were some other pairings that were talked about as well from other other sources like stouts or fruity beers with a Hershey bar, Hefeweizen with a Twix, cream ales with M&Ms, and Pilsners with red licorice. I'm curious if any of you guys pair any of your beers with candy, and I guess with it being Halloween, do you plan on doing any type of pairings this weekend to enjoy that? I'm going to start actually with Barb on that one.
I actually did a Halloween beer pairing for Channel 4 2 years ago, and I paired like 5 different candies with the beers. And it's funny because they were so right on. But this year I'm not doing any of that. What I would say is I like pairing my stouts with dark chocolate covered pretzels. So a dark stout with a chocolate covered pretzels, because it seems like they both bring out the roastiness, the chocolate, and then the salt comes in there and kind of cuts through everything. So that's what. But as far as any of the other stuff, I'm not doing that.
Oh, that's a one-way trip to type 2 diabetes. I might as well just throw a Snickers bar in my Logic study break and call it a day, you know? Get the insulin ready. Like, candy and beer, come on.
Dan is a
I
no.
want the beer to taste like candy, so I don't have to eat it.
I don't like candy, so no.
That is a no. Nick?
I mean, I don't know. I like to just eat my candy without the beer. Like, I got a bag of it right here, like 4 bags of it, which I don't even know if we're gonna pass it out tomorrow, sitting in the kitchen. I've just been eating it. I don't want to mix beer with candy. Just give me the candy.
See, I made sure for trick-or-treating tomorrow that I have a keg of beer for all my neighbors that I'll be pouring solo cups of. So all the neighbors, whether they have kids or not, are probably going to be trick-or-treating at my house.
I guess that's actually another question. I mean, considering...
Hey, where do you live? We'll be by.
I got the coffee porter from North Center Brewing. I was going to start with the Wolverine States District 16, but I kind of tapped it last night and had to switch the keg.
I'm about to tell my husband right now, we're not going down this street. We got to drive a ways and come to your house.
I mean, that kind of lends to another question, considering, you know, us dealing with the pandemic and, you know, not necessarily knowing how many people are going to be bringing their kids out. It kind of feels like it could turn into a regular thing where we start giving adults a little bit of something to enjoy while their kids are out here in the slightly Michigan cold to get them to get some candy that, you know, we get some adult beverages for ourselves. I guess
I have friends that have been doing that for years.
I mean, in that route, the kids don't have to pay the dad tax when all the candy's all brought into the house. So that
well, maybe even more because they've had a few beers by the time they get all the candy.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Very, very true. Also, another one that I came across, the Craft Beer and Brewing Magazine's website posted their list of top 50 beers in 2020 as voted on by readers of their magazine. It's a little bit different, obviously, than Zymergy, and, you know, the fact that Bell's Two Hearted is winning like 4 years in a row. But Craft Beer and Brewing had their own magazine in their list, and their list was a little bit different. Within the top 5, obviously Two Hearted is in there, but Two Hearted is number 2. It was number 1 last year. Pliny the Elder is number 3 and remained at number 3 from 2019. However, the number 1 beer that was on their list by the readers was the Pale Ale from Sierra Nevada, which was sitting at number 2.
What?
That is, for their list, as voted on, that is the number 1. Rounding out the top 10, 4 is Guinness Extra Stouts. Yay, stouts. Number 5, Allagash White. 6 was Brasserie Dupont, Saison Dupont. 7 was Founders All Day IPA. 8, Cigar City's High Life IPA. 9, Sierra Nevada's Hazy Little Thing. And number 10, Founders' Breakfast Stout. It's very interesting with this list. I think the one thing that I'm enjoying about this list is that I feel like I see more things than IPAs. I mean, there are still a lot of IPAs that are on this list, but IPAs keep running these lists. And I still am stuck on the question of what can the beer world do to knock these IPAs out of the top 10, at least knock them out of the top 5, that we keep getting these things.
I have a comment
Yeah.
about the Sierra Nevada. So we actually just talked about this today when we were out on our beer tour, because we were talking about my history in IPAs and things like that. And somebody had mentioned the pale ale, like they were like, well, I think it's too hoppy. And I was like, well, it's funny because when Sierra Nevada came out, that pale ale was the hoppiest beer ever.
At the time, definitely.
And now it's not as hoppy, so maybe it's kind of come full circle, and we've come back to people not wanting that punch you in the face hop, and they're wanting to try this Sierra Nevada that is not as hoppy as the West Coast or even some of the New England IPA hops that we have out right now.
I mean, it's definitely a move, but I mean, for looking at where the stats were last year, I mean, there's a few in here that jumped. I mean, Guinness Extra Stout last year was 11th and jumped to 4th.
Where was Sierra Nevada one last year?
Sierra Nevada was 2nd last year.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was already there. It was already sitting in the top 5.
It's already jumped. I mean, it's one of the OGs. Like, all of us have been in this industry for a long time, and we know that that's one of the basic beers, basically. But a lot of people that are coming in just now, they don't know that. They're learning it now, and they're realizing, oh, hey, this is a really good beer.
So, and there was another one that was not in the top 5 that jumped into it, that being the Allagash White, which was 8th. So there were the 2 beers that jumped into that top 5. The 2 that fell out of it was another Sierra Nevada. It was Sierra Nevada's Hazy Little Thing, which was 4th last year. And then what now fell to 11th was Kentucky Breakfast Stout from Founders, which was 5th. So there are a couple others that are in here that are Michigan-based, as the ones that I had already mentioned. Other than that, one that was there was the Founders CBS Canadian Breakfast Stout, which is at 28th. New to the list is Bell's Hop Slam, which came in the list at 44, and one that was on last year's list and fell 4 spots from 46 to 50 was Old Nation's M43, which, you know, for them to make the list is pretty good. But again, it's another one of those things where I'm as much as I am okay with IPAs, I'm tired of these lists kind of like being dominated by IPAs. Actually, and I guess I'll put this question to you, Barb. It's like, what can the beer world do to knock these IPAs out? And I mean, is it something that the beer world can even control, or is it that, you know, a lot of people just base or like grade in a brewery based on how well they make an IPA, despite that they should be graded on something else?
The latter is true. And have you guys ever seen the meme that it has like 3 white guys and then it says, what does it say? Something about how much like white guys love IPAs, like the majority loves IPAs. So we already know that 88% of breweries are owned by, you know, white people, and they make up the majority of beer drinkers. If they like IPAs and they're wanting people to do IPAs, they're going to do IPAs. So until they're like, we don't want IPAs anymore. What do you want, Rob? They're not going to make stouts if the majority says we love our IPAs.
I'm like you. I want more stouts. I want more stouts.
I definitely want more stouts.
That's just you and me. That's just
and me.
2 people.
I mean,
well, that's I
want people to realize that IPAs aren't the only beer and to go more to the classic styles. Like every brewery we talk to is like, I want to brew this. And it's always a classic style. I want more beer drinkers to want to try the classic styles and to figure out what those are and what they actually like about the beer.
I even think brewers want to do the classic styles. They, um, like Annette's husband always talks about how he loves doing them. He does them so well too. Mike Bardalis, he does the classic style so well. But the problem is, a lot of newer drinkers want
Want
they want all the fluff. They want the adjuncts. They want the, all they don't want any of that. So, do you do the classic styles and hope that people will come to love beer at its basis level, or do you just go, I just want them in the seats to buy my beer?
I, I want to full circle this. So if you've listened to episode 241, our interview with Barb Baker, which we recorded earlier today, if you she made a comment which like really started the gears turning in my head and said, if you made good beer, people will show up. And I am going to counter that with Old Nation.
I didn't say that. I said that's what people say.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's
yes.
not
Sorry.
how it works.
This is where like once I finish, you'll see I'm agreeing with you. My wheels turned, and we've brought it up a handful of times, but it bears to be repeated. Old Nation made some of the best beer, true to style beer, solid beer, not IPAs. And when you look at a company pre-M43, you look at they had their Vienna Lager, their Detroit Dwarf, their Sanders Bumpy Cake. Like, they made amazing beers, but they were, for lack of better words, on the precipice of going under. Like, they were about to die. And then M43 comes out, and they explode, so then you get Boss Tweed, Cart Horse, whatever other New England IPAs that they make, whatever. I'm a little hurt. But then they have to make so much of that when we did our road show a few years ago with the Brew Locker and our writer and editor in chief Ed, we learned that they couldn't even brew the beer that they wanted to brew because they had to keep up with everything else, to the point where then we brought in and we did the Brew Detroit Old Nation episode where we had to kind of compare Detroit M43 and Williamston M43, and getting it was just so much that if you make good beer, you can still fail. If you have great service, which Old Nation has always had great service, you can still fail. You need to go to the market, which we saw after M43 came out, and then everyone, and I mean everyone and their mothers, made a New England IPA. And
I'm thinking about making one.
That's where you can make it, and I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of breweries who have succeeded making terrible New England IPAs. And
Yep.
It's not because they're Wendy, you're muted, by the way, if you were trying to talk. It's not because that they're making terrible beers, but it's one of those things to where people want hoppiness. That whole West Coast prior to M43, where everyone wanted the hoppiest, the bitterest. I want to, basically just eat a hop. The New England IPA, we have these trends and ebbs and flows, and now seltzers. If you don't make a seltzer right now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I don't want to drink over there. And there's a lot of breweries that make really good seltzers that aren't, and there's breweries that literally they make a seltzer and then they just add syrup to it. I'm like, no, I want you to like make me a seltzer. I want you to make me a flavor. So you can have a great seltzer like over at Liberty Street, or I tell you what, and God, I hate the fact that COVID happened because it killed this, but Recolt, and how they turned their meads into seltzers. If you wanted a watered down mead that was carbonated and it tasted so good, because for me, like, meads are a little too sugary, a little too sweet, but when you water it down a little bit, lower that ABV a little bit, it was so good. And I'm so like that one hurt almost as much as Sellerman's hurt for closing. But again, I like this list right here, and I'm looking at the list because Rob posts it in our chat. and you see, Boston Lager, which is a solid beer, but other than the Pivo Pils and the Pilsner Urquell, like there's not much else that isn't a IPA or a stout or something very very off the chart different. So I personally want to see a little bit more um, ambers in this list, like Fat Tires on this list. But there's so many good ambers out there, like Alaskan Amber. I know it's an alt beer, but you look at like I don't know. I'm rounding the corner and trying to say like I just want to see more new beers on this list for me to be like I want to go try this because I've already had all these beers. Give me
True.
something I want to try.
Yeah, I see that. There's
Yep, I lost Barb. I wanted to answer your question.
She needed another
So,
beer.
I didn't want to interrupt Ken because he was on a roll, and I don't know how to work this setup that I'm on. But
I saw when
want to
Rob got
know,
up, I could get
are
up.
you going to make the beer or is your mother going to make the beer? Because I've seen your videos.
She's talking to you, Barb,
Wait.
not me.
Oh, wait,
On
what? What are you
Instagram?
saying?
Are you going to make the beer or is your mother going to make the beer? Because I've seen your videos.
You're a terrible person for
And
saying that.
I love her. Seriously, I want her to come to my house. Her and my grandma would get along fantastic.
Yes, my mother will probably make the beer. I will stand for the video and stir it. Actually, I won't even do that. I'll sit in a chair and let her do everything.
And also, can you teach me how to make those videos? Because that's flipping hilarious. I love it.
Well, you got to get somebody who wants to do all the work. Since my mother has moved up here, for you guys that are like, what is she talking about?
Follow Siren of Stout on Instagram.
No, I don't. Well, is it on Instagram or
I don't know.
I don't know. It's maybe
I
on
think it's on
Facebook.
Instagram.
On TikTok too.
My mother has moved up here about a year to 2 years ago from my hometown of Ohio, Steubenville, Ohio. So since she's up here, my mother is a workhorse. Like at my house, she had a garden. She had a tractor. She had an acre of land that she mowed. She's 76. So when she came up here,
to my house.
I can send her over there. She wants to keep working. So I let her work. If she wants to put in the brick pavers in my backyard, I let her do them. So what I do is I do videos where she's working and I'm sitting around because my mother likes to work. So
it's flipping awesome. I love it. I want to do it on my own podcast, not a podcast, but my own blog for my grandma, because my grandma has dementia. So I'm trying to do stuff with her, and it's the same type of thing where like she's like doing the dishes, and I'm like, I'm taking pictures of her doing the dishes. Like I have to redo them after her, but I don't care. Like
no, it isn't even about that. It's about that she is doing something that she
doing
wants.
and she don't care what I'm doing. She just wants to do it. I love it.
Well, I had my mother come over to my house every weekend because of quarantine. She literally lives like a block down the street, but she would be at our house all weekend and spend the night. So I started the videos, and then she'd be like, "Are we doing a work to do video?" Like, so she's obsessed now. She's like, "Can I start raking the leaves?" But she actually really does do the work.
I really need to do that with my grandma, so maybe she'll do a little bit more around the house.
We're going to get into another article here is what I kind of go into a bit of a fun one here coming straight out of Chicago. So mixing a little bit of beer with sports, as some of us do. There's a pitcher, or probably soon to be former pitcher of the Chicago Cubs, John Lester, who is finishing out this year. Obviously, the World Series is done, and he is potentially getting ready to leave Chicago. But he's not leaving Chicago without letting Chicago get some beer. So he tweeted out this morning, regardless of what's next, I want to thank the fans for the past 6 years. So this weekend, I'm buying y'all my favorite beer. So anybody who is out there in Chicago can go to apparently either the Hopsmith Tavern, the Lodge, Butch McGuire's, or Shenanigans. And the first Miller Lite is on him. And basically, he's doing this for the entire weekend. So anybody who goes out to those 4 locations is going to get themselves a Miller Lite. Obviously, it's Chicago. There's a lot of people out there, and people can go nuts for it. but I'm pretty sure Lester is pretty good for the money, considering if the Cubs keep him, it's a $25 million option, but they're likely letting him go, which requires a $10 million buyout of his contract. So pretty sure that he's good for it. So actually, my question to you guys, regardless of don't even think about the money. I'm going to start with Nick on this one.
Uh-oh.
Regardless of the money, if you had the money to basically tell a city the first beer's on me, what's that beer that you're going to?
Oh no!
Oh my God! What a callback!
Wow!
What a callback! Hey, Kwame still owes me beer from 12 years ago. Pay up, Kwame.
Off the top of my head, I do Guinness. It's not just because I don't know if many people will drink it, because I think it's everywhere. A lot of places will carry it. It's one of my favorites in a bar, like a regular hole in the wall or anything like that. Guinness.
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 Dan.
Oh shit! This is Chicago. We're gonna set up kegs of hams on every street corner. Is what we're doing.
It
Telling everyone to get down.
It doesn't have to be Chicago. It could be Phoenix.
It could be Flagstaff.
Anywhere.
No, Flagstaff would be great, but no, we're still doing kegs of hams. Here y'all go. Here's your beer. That's what I'm buying you.
Screw you guys. You're getting hams.
Ken.
Well, if it was Chicago, I would have did old style and not hams. But
That's a good one too.
locally, like if I was a multi-million-dollar sports star here in Detroit, I would probably say, Final Absolution.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Let's get money is not an issue. It is a Detroit staple in my opinion in regards to beer. Nearly.
In.
What's that?
I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't even have a choice. I choose that.
Wendy would become a
Fuck yes.
sports
I
fan
would
for
choose
one
that.
night. She'd be like, "You do that baseball."
I'm gonna wear
Sports
your
ball.
jersey for the rest of my life. I'm just saying.
For one beer.
All right, Barb, what would your beer be? If cost was no object, everybody gets one on you. What's the
I'm
beer?
going to say, first off, I bet he's not paying for those. That's an ad for Budweiser, but that's my cynical side. But I would do, could I do Kunin's Blueberry Dippa?
Yeah.
It's an IPA.
Yes,
love
you
'em.
can.
It's
You can choose
blueberry.
whatever beer you want.
So that is delicious. So I'd need them to step up production. We'll do,
Oh my
we'll
God,
do Kunin's
how
Blueberry Dippa.
That would bring so much beer back into our
Yep.
little local city.
All right.
That would be awesome.
I'm
Final
gonna,
Absolution. I'm like
all right.
just
Wendy,
excited that somebody else said it and I didn't have to.
right. Wendy, I believe you have a news story for us.
Oh my God, I do. And I just took it off of my page. Oh my God, hang on.
Don't worry,
So
we're not live.
I am really, I know we're live. I'm really excited because there was a home in,
Find it.
I know it's horrible. I just took it off because I wanted to look something up. And there was a home that did tattoos and brews for their residents and staffs at a senior citizens home. So you know that I take care of my grandma, so I think that's a really, like, I'm trying to keep her out of the homes, but there was a home that did tattoos and brews, and they gave them either you got to get a brew and you got to choose a fake tattoo. And on my Facebook page, there is like 1 million people that were super excited because they had these fake tattoos on there. And I just
They
wanted
wouldn't
to give
do real
them-
tattoos? Those cheap
No, they weren't
bastards.
fake. They weren't real tattoos because like they're not 90 years old. You can't give them a real tattoo. Like at that point, like they might bleed out. Like they're on Coumadin and stuff. But just the fact that they gave them all these choices of fake tattoos, and they did it. And I wish that I could give you the
I mean, something like
the
that.
website thing, but I'm like looking at the thing or at their Facebook page, and I'm like, oh my god, they're just so happy that they have these tattoos that are fake tattoos. It's something they picked off of a board that is just a rub-on tattoo, and then they had a beer with it.
I mean, it's not
like, I just think it's amazing, and I wanted to say it was the Rosehaven Nursing Home. I just think they're amazing. I wanted to give them some kind of a shout out about it because I think my grandma would love it. Like if I gave her a fake tattoo, she'd be all about it. She wouldn't like the beer. She made beer with us and still was like, I don't know. So, but she still would love the tattoo, I think.
I feel like that would be kind of one of those things kind of similar to what we had. I believe it was a residential home. I can't remember if it was Florida or Texas, where they were brewing beer.
Where they're brewing beer.
They were brewing beer, and I remember us talking about that before, where that would be kind of a cool thing, where we could start. I mean, it doesn't even have to be that senior citizens and those that are at home have to get into craft beer, but really just an activity and
just something for them to do. Like my grandma, she's like, I don't like beer, but when it came to making beer, she was all about it. And then this other home in like another state comes up and they're like, oh, we're gonna do this brews and tattoos thing, and they gave them a beer and they let them pick out a tattoo. Like I just think that's awesome, and I think more places around us should look at stuff like that and see what they can do.
Every senior citizen home needs a 3-barrel system. There we go.
They got the time on their hands, honestly.
Right? They could probably do it better than we can.
I mean, they probably have some like super special like recipes in their head of things that they did when they were younger that they know worked whenever they were baking or cooking or something like that, where like the amount of knowledge that they have where they could adapt and adjust would be amazing. Guys, that is the news segment. That's going to do it better on Draft 241. Stay tuned. The second after we end this episode, we are going to do the King of the Hill, which is just a fun little game. You could only see it either live or on Instagram TV. So no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Peace.